Be social. You're a great example. You're on a roof, but you're being engaging. You're funny. Everything's not a sales call. And if you're looking to organically friend raise, grow your sphere of influence, social media done right is a great way to do it, but you need to pay to play. So boost your posts. Because if you don't boost your posts, you're reaching the people who are already initiated, your followers. If you're boosting, you're showing up in the feed of additional eyeballs.
And we are back, Sarasota, with episode number 80, the final episode of 2024. As always, my name is Brad Hannon.
Trey Martell.
Felipe Colon.
And we've got an amazing guest today. We would finish off the year with a bang. We've got Allison Imre from Grapevine Communications. How you doing today, Allison?
I'm well. Thank you for having me. I'm very excited.
This has actually been a long time running. I looked today in our group message. We first came in contact with you through Hometown Fest, I believe, and that was in August of this year. And so it's taken us about 4 months to get you on the podcast. You're a busy lady.
Yeah.
What do you got going on?
I think we're all busy. No, I mean, nothing more than any of the rest of you, running a business and managing human resources and navigating insurance and dealing with 2 storms and growing our families. And life's easy, right?
It's a piece of cake. And actually, we're not that busy. We do a lot of these. We just do this every day, basically. We're just podcast hosts.
I wish I had that much spare time. That's amazing.
It's a blast.
Admirable.
It's a blast. Well, we want to dig right into how you came to be CEO of Grapevine Communications, because I think it's a interesting story. I think it's not the traditional way that you may become a CEO, working for a company and then basically buying that company. So walk us through where you started and how you eventually took ownership of Grapevine Communications.
Sure. Well, first and foremost, alcohol absolutely was involved.
All good things, right?
Yeah, right. So Grapevine was founded by Angela Massaro-Fain in Montreal, Canada, actually in 1988. Oh, wow. And then in 1998, she was bought out by Intertape Polymer Group. You know, if you've ever gotten an Amazon package, that tape. To be their in-house agency to deploy operations in the United States. And so they relocated to Lakewood Ranch. When that contract expired in 2002, she reestablished as an independent agency. I began as a vendor of hers in 2007. If you've ever met Angela and her husband John, they are inspiring and infectiously enthusiastic individuals. So we became close pretty quickly. We have kind of a quirky sense of humor, and so we fast friends. In 2016, we were having dinner, and after bourbon, wine, God knows what, they were talking about finally wanting to engage the services of a mergers and acquisitions firm, and being me, and sometimes the mouth works faster than the brain, I said out loud, well, I'll buy the agency, not really knowing what it meant. The next day I called them.
Or what it cost.
Yeah, right. Let's just do this. Ready, fire, aim. So the next day I called them. I said, were you serious? They said, yes, were you? We signed a letter of intent that day. And a short 1 year later, we sat at a table and I bought the business and the building lock, stock, and barrel. And then in earlier this year in April, that was April 10th of 2017, April 1st of this year, we further expanded our operations by merging with Demand Exposure. And so now we have their client roster, their team, all working in concert, and gives us a second location to penetrate the market downtown Sarasota, not just be out east.
And what did that, other than just the location, what did that bring to the table? Were they doing the same exact thing essentially that Grapevine was doing, or did they have a different media team? Were they doing more ad buying? Were they specialized in a different vertical of the communication space?
That's a really good question. They offered the same suite of services more or less, but they specialized more in automotive. So we've got a family of auto dealers here and additional in Georgia. So that was a core competency of mine in my previous career with iHeart. So the founder of Demand Exposure, Rex, and I started working together when he started the agency in 2012. In 2019, we started talking about what a path forward would look like with a merger. Then 2020 happened. And then 2024, we kind of took our plan and brought it to fruition. So what changed for us is essentially nothing other than creating a deeper bench.
Love it.
Yeah.
Specifically, what type of companies do you like to market yourself to?
Well, that is that's a tricky question, because we like to, we have individuals who can strategically create communication pathways to either enhance your brand or grow your roster of clients or patients, whatever it may be. But we like to market ourselves as a resource. So we do a lot of teaching engagements, a lot of speaking engagements, a lot of opportunities for us to show case studies or to give best practices for solopreneurs and a lot of times for nonprofits. So we like to be a resource as much as possible, first and foremost. When it comes to clients, we don't have a one size fits all mentality. We do not move forward working together with competitors in the same designated marketing area. So we won't take on, two HVAC companies or two roofers that are all vying for clients in,
You have any roofers?
Sarasota. What?
You have any roofers yet?
I don't know. The day's young. Do I have?
go.
Yeah. So no, we've had roofers before. We worked.
So you have loyalty, which is something that is sometimes lost
half
in
a brain.
corporate America, right?
Yeah.
Right. Well, integrity and
Strategy.
We also, and it may not be, depending on who you are and what your philosophy is, we may not have the smartest strategy. We try to limit our roster and deliver smart strategies to people that are unique to them, and we don't offshore or outsource any talent. So you're not going to get an email from a developer in Bangladesh in the middle of the night. So that means the people that are working on your campaign are within the four walls of my building. You can meet them. We get together and we brainstorm for you, which is wildly effective, but also, we have a lot of oversight in our projects. There's review by, 8 different people before something goes live. So we're a measure twice, cut once operation, and we like people to be empowered, informed, and know the individuals who are working on their behalf. So again,
So just to kind of take a top-down view, and I love all that, and we're going to dig deeper into that. But
a little idealistic.
I love when people can turn on this podcast and within the first couple minutes know who is this guest, why does Sarasota, the greater Sarasota area, need to know them, and what are the little things that I'm going to learn and that are going to be interesting to me along the way. And part of the reason we founded this is because we started, we knew a lot of people around here who were running what I call world-class operations. And I use the word world-class very deliberately, because...
Thank you, Felipe.
Yeah, thanks.
I didn't mean you.
Two of them just so happen to be hosts.
I got
you know?
confused.
Two of them just so happen to be hosts, right?
No, but world-class is important because I think when people think of Sarasota, they don't think of world-class operations being domiciled here. They think of this as a retirement community, right? But we really do have companies that in their industries can compete with anybody. They just happen to be located here. And we need to shine a light more on that. So more about what you do. I mean, you're really competing with the big boys and girls out there.
Sure.
what
But in my
you do.
previous careers, they've bought from me. So where I've been before, I've dealt with, the media comms of the world. And so what we have that's uniquely inherent to this community, and I like to thank my organization in terms of our value proposition, it's relationships first. It's never a set it and forget it mentality, and that's something beautiful that we can embrace here because we are smaller, because we see the trees, not just the forest. Also, specific to us, not wanting to deal with competitors in the same area, we don't require people to sign lengthy contracts with us. 30 days. We earn your business day in and day out, or you find somebody else. And another thing that's of paramount importance that a lot of business owners may not realize but are coming to be aware of is we want you to have the keys to the car. We want you to be trained on how to operate your website. You own your domain. You own full unfettered IP rights to anything we create for you. And I'll tell you what, that is not SOP. It is. You would be appalled by how many organizations out there, locally and nationally, they own your URL.
And they want to hold it ransom, correct?
Yes, it's job security.
Let's tease this out, though, for people who are not as familiar as the business owners at this table, Trey and Brad namely, at some of the terms you're using. Because I feel like marketing is something that we talk about a lot, but a lot of people don't really know what it is.
A lot of times on a macro level, too,
Bingo.
right? You're talking about just general marketing.
Right, everybody knows what marketing is, but I think nobody knows what it is, and that they don't really know what somebody who's a professional level marketer at a world-class level like yourself, what you're doing day to day. You
Well,
know, and what the people who work with you are doing.
And that's fair, and that's a great question. And so marketing is the big term. Marketing is the stadium, and then you have the different sections. So like advertising is a function of marketing. PR is a function of marketing. Digital lead generation or your SEO or your Google business listing are a function of marketing. Any charitable involvement is a function of marketing. So marketing is the big umbrella, and everything kind of exists underneath it. So in terms of how we market our clients, it all starts with a needs analysis. What is unique to you? What is your why at your core? What solution do you provide for your customers, clients, patients that no one else can touch? And then we develop a strategy that's not only, what channels are most effective to reach them, but how do we engage them, grow your sphere of influence? Because it all comes down to two things. We're Grapevine Communications. We know that there's nothing that we can do as human beings that's ever going to be as powerful as word of mouth. Our job is to create that community of people that will refer you.
Yep.
That's our job. And the second thing with that is essentially, we don't want anyone to be handcuffed to us. So if we're
Which is rare.
You're required to work with us. That means that we can lay down on the job.
So in my world, the blue collar world, whether it's plumbing or electrician or roofing, a lot of small solopreneurs that you mentioned, they wear it as a badge of honor. We only do word of mouth. We don't market. If you're trying to convince one of those old school mentalities, which I obviously don't agree with, give them 2 routes that they can do on themselves for 2025 that will help them start the process of marketing.
Sure. Number one, ask for Google reviews. Ask for Google reviews. It's a great way to get an organic lift in your search. And while we're talking about Google, run a scan on your website. You can do that on your own through Google and through Lighthouse. There's a lot of opportunity to do that. And you can see, because in the world of AI, Google Gemini is now going through and scanning websites. And if you use GPT to generate most of your content, Google Gemini AI is now calling GPT AI spam.
So,
and they're reducing your
AI
costs.
recognize AI?
Yes,
Yeah,
AI.
it's
It's 100% happening. So if you write blogs on your website and you're disseminating one a week and you're very prolific in that respect, but it's all generated by GPT, Google has now classified you as spam.
Yeah.
And so make sure that you're, control what you can control and get your quality score from Google. How efficient is my website? What's my speed score, my load score on mobile and desktop? And Google reviews. Another thing is post on social media. And when you post on social media, be social. You're a great example. You're on a roof, but you're being engaging. You're funny. Everything's not a sales call. And if you're looking to organically friend raise, grow your sphere of influence, social media done right is a great way to do it, but you need to pay to play. So boost your posts. Because if you don't boost your posts, you're reaching the people who are already initiated, your followers. If you're boosting, you're showing up in the feed of additional eyeballs, people who have a look like your existing audience, but may not already engaged.
Now,
with
let me ask you this. I've heard different perspectives on that. Some have told me that if you continuously boost your posts, it will train Instagram to require the boost to put you out there. So I've heard both.
I also think it's come a long way too from boosting posts 3 years ago, which was almost like counterproductive because it was such a wide geographical, non-targeted audience, and now they've really kind of reined that in from what I've seen on my
how you can select your audience. So you may be right. They won't reveal that to you. What we found is you can blend boosted and non-boosted content efficiently and show a nice arc of successful growth over time with your following, your
I'll
subscribers.
get back on my boost game then.
But think about what the alternative is. What happens if you do all or nothing?
Yeah.
And if you're boost, also when you boost, you get a 72-hour shelf life. So you're easing up on your requisite content schedule. Now, if you're on TikTok, you have to fill out a timesheet, and you have to be. It's a job. It's a job. If in order to win at their algorithm, you have to be doing it routinely.
Yeah.
The beautiful thing about Meta, it's very hard to say beautiful and meta in the same sentence. It's kind of like chewing glass. But you know, you work with the tools you have. Their workaround is if you spend a little coin with them, you get a bigger audience, you get a bigger reach, and they'll.
I mean, I would think they want to incentivize you to buy the boost, right? So why would they make it bad?
Yeah.
So we all agree that Google is king right now.
100%.
Right? So where do you see ChatGPT fitting in versus Google in the future? And how can I position myself? Because eventually you figure people are going to be talking in their chat, you know, and asking, who's the best roofer? How can I position myself as Strong Roofing to come up in that chat?
Use Gemini.
Gemini?
Use Gemini. There's also, don't stop using ChatGPT. Just use human oversight. So read it. And it's like if you ever cheated on a test, sorry, Mom, if you ever cheated on a test, you read through the essay part and then you rewrite it in your own words.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Now, no, wait, I think my question got confused a little bit. Maybe I didn't ask it clearly enough. So eventually, do you believe the thought process is that people will be going to AI, something such as ChatGPT, to search for who is the best roofer in Sarasota?
It's already happening.
Versus going to Google.
No, I don't see chat taking that. The closest competitor to that would be DuckDuckGo, and they're a
light years
grain of
behind.
sand, right? So what's happening? It's already happening on Google. Google is working very hard to keep people on Google. So there's a couple things working. The Gemini component, where that's going to be the first generative answer to any question you have typically. The second component, there's actually three. So the generative answer. Second is in your field, or in like you'll see it for attorneys, you'll see it for service professionals. I don't know if it's come to roofers yet, but I know it's for design, build, renovation companies. You need to get Google screened or Google certified, where you go in and you can Google how to get Google screened. And it'll show you, you have to upload your licensure, you have to do a background check, but that'll position you at the toppity top. And the beautiful thing about that is if you initiate a campaign with that, you have to monetize it. You only pay for a phone call, depending on how you set it up, or a form fill.
Is it we're talking the same language as Google Guaranteed?
Google Guaranteed, Google Screened, yes.
Okay.
And then the third component is topic authority. Okay, this is a lot more complex, but as Google changes how they value websites, you have to follow the trends. And it used to change a couple times a year. They would re-index. Now they're doing it with a greater degree of frequency. Topic authority means when you ask Google a question, like how do I find the best roofer in Sarasota? You'll see people also asked. So below the Google Guaranteed, or Google Screened, below the sponsored ads, and then sometimes SEO will show up, although they're almost starting to flip that. It's people also asked, and then you see those 4 questions.
So you want to go and make content that answers those 4 questions.
Explicitly and directly. Yeah. So when you open one of those questions, you close it, all of a sudden you have 6. Open one, close it, then you have 8. So you'll see as you open those questions, it'll answer the question, and then at the bottom, there's a link to a website.
Pulling that answer from somewhere.
Those people are designated by Google as the authority on that topic. Now, there's some nuance to it because you have to look into Google and pick a specific topic. It can't just be all roofing. Who's best at tile roofing or barrel tile roofing or metal roof, whatever it is.
Large flat roofs, Trey.
There we go. And then you have to build out that content and very specifically answer it in the way that Google expects you to in terms of keyword concentration. Like you can't be more than 250 words, but you can't be fewer than 150 words. You can't say metal more than 4 times in that section, but you can't say it fewer than 6 times. If a question is misspelled, it has to stay misspelled. Your answer doesn't have to be misspelled, but the question does. And then that has to live on your website as like an FAQ accordion, and it'll take about 90 days to kind of index fully, but then you are the authority on the topic of whatever.
Naturally.
Which is easier said than done because competing on Google is expensive, right? So to get to that level takes a very long time from my limited understanding. But I love where the conversation is going, and I did think that, hey, when we're talking about marketing, it's going to be at a very macro level. It's very hard to get detailed. So one of my ideas, one of the things that I wanted to do on this show, rather than talk about Strong Roofing or Signature Medicare or
Sandling Partners. Well, Trey needs to get his free medical.
But
Trey needs to get his free marketing advice.
Well, also, I'm a good marketer. I know what our audience is probably the questions they would ask.
Yeah, exactly.
Right here.
So 100%, though, you're right. And Sarasota SpeaX is a podcasts, right? That we
which is
kind of
inherently a form of marketing.
Inherently a form of marketing, but we could be a client of yours, right? So how to get our message out, how to get our branding dialed in, so let's walk through a brief fact find, if you will. Like we would approach you as being a client.
More
what
free
does
advice.
that look like?
I can
More
do this
free
all day.
advice, but also hopefully free leads coming your way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And again, going back to what I said earlier, it all starts with the needs analysis. Like, what's your goal for growth? Where do you want to be in 10 years? Do we need to talk to some of our connections who specifically work to find advertisers for podcasts and to propagate delivery of your episodes for the sake of recruiting subscribers? So it's like a beautifully sensitive interrogation. So we talk about your goals, we talk about your commitment to it, we talk about your budget, we talk about your competitive landscape. We do a little bit of our own due diligence and research. Then our team comes together and does one of the most fun things that we could ever possibly do, which is like an internal brainstorming session. So in a perfect world, if this is what we were doing, or if this was, the sky is the limit, where would we go with this? What's the best channel to create something memorable? Our positioning statement is creative, strategic, accountable. So it's about coming up with something that is uniquely fantastic and memorable, delivering it to the right people at the right time with the right frequency so they remember it, and then holding our feet to the fire to deliver results. And that's the missing component for a lot of marketing firms, because if you say our goal for growth is to have 150,000 subscribers, so we're getting a check from YouTube by June of next year, then that's our KPI. That's what we're working toward. And until we get there, we've not won. And ironically, our job is to work ourselves into obsolescence. So if a client comes and says, I need to cancel all my marketing because I can't take on any new clients until I hire more people or get more trucks or open a new office in Charlotte County, that's when we celebrate.
Right.
When we work ourselves out of a job.
And by then, hopefully they've been trained on how to use the tools that you've created for them already.
You're darn right. And if there's, and I say this at any speaking engagement, and we preach this to our clients directly, start a list right now of all your passwords. Put everything together. What's my CMS password? What's my domain registration password? Where's my DNS hosted? Where's my website hosted? How do I access all of my social media channels? How do I, where's my email hosted? Get control of that. And if you have someone who's truculent in giving you that information, like a marketing partner, then say, I need to have that for my insurance policy. It's part of my disaster preparedness plan, which is true. So assemble that, own your castle. I mean, have control over it, because we've seen too many websites go down, and it's scary. You're out of business.
You need the keys to the car, right, that you're driving.
Yes.
Even
Yes.
if you have a chauffeur.
Even if you have a chauffeur.
Or self-driving people.
All right, we're having an absolute blast here getting to know Allison and all about Grapevine Communications. If you want to get to know her a little bit further, stay tuned for rapid fire questions fueled by food and beer.
I'm Allison Imre, owner and operator of Grapevine Communications, and this is Rapid Fire.
10 random questions, 10 specific answers, nothing off limits. This is Rapid Fire, fueled by food and beer. Everybody's got a nickname. What's yours?
The only nickname I've had my whole life is my family calls me Allie, which is that's a super boring answer, but yeah, that's it.
Boring.
Unless I have a nickname of which I'm not aware, which is entirely possible.
Dog person, cat person, dog person, cats suck. Which one do you like?
Dog person, but I don't hate cats.
That feels weird, but I'll allow it.
Is it dinner or supper, eh?
Oh, it's dinner, supper.
It's dinner time.
Whether it's Creed or Debbie Gibson, what's your favorite karaoke song?
Bobby McGee by Janis Joplin.
Do you remember what you ate for breakfast?
I don't eat breakfast.
Why? Go-to drink of choice.
Jameson and ginger ale. JMO ginger, double tall.
Everyone's got red flags. What would your warning label be?
Hot to the touch. Woo! Do not open. I don't know. May cause burning. All the things.
Have you ever been mistaken for a celebrity, like Joey Fatone?
Yes. Oh gosh, there's a country music artist.
Well, that's just maddeningly unhelpful.
I've been mistaken for a celebrity whose name I don't know. But she wears hats, and I wear hats. That's not helpful.
Well, that's even more than less than unhelpful.
Would you rather speak all languages fluently or play every musical instrument?
I would rather be able to play any musical instrument on command.
After, of course, eating food and beer, where's the first place you would take visitors in Sarasota besides the beach?
First time visitor to Sarasota, walk a neighborhood, whether that's downtown, whether that's waterside, whether that's one of the keys. Just get out and walk and step into every shop you pass by and have a drink at every restaurant you pass. Really immerse yourself in the small business community.
We kind of have this discussion, maybe disagreement on the podcast frequently because Trey,
Disagreements never.
Well, Trey and Brad, they have businesses where visibility is very important for their objectives. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Brad wants to hire more employees to grow his business. He's got a successful business here that is not always the most visible because of the vertical they're in. Right, they're selling Medicare
And the newness of it. I mean, we're only 2 years old. So.
Right, and that too. And whereas, Trey, he has a roofing company. Everybody has a roof. Everybody knows what that is. Everybody needs one. More so because of insurance companies in Florida, right? My business and probably other people watching the podcast, it's not so much about visibility as it is, the right client and the right fit.
Understood.
So, and I think
Let
what I
me
mean.
rephrase the question. Felipe feels because he's a boutique firm, financial investment company, that he should not market, that exclusivity diminishes when you market. Convince him otherwise.
I don't feel that way, but I'm going to allow that.
I like that.
I'm going to allow his line of questioning just because it's great for highlighting.
First of all,
what you do.
do you do commercial roofing? Any
Yes,
commercial? Okay,
yes.
we need to talk.
He needs to do more of that,
So
in my opinion.
Here's the thing: when it comes to understanding whether it's appropriate or whether it dilute my brand to market, we need to define marketing. So when you gave so much of your time and effort to be an ambassador for American Cancer Society in Men Wear Pink, you're marketing yourself. It's cause marketing. It's one of the best ways to grow long-standing affiliations. I can give you 100 examples of how cause marketing has worked time and time again. But that's marketing. So don't kid yourself. You are marketing, but you're marketing from a place of
Felipe.
altruism.
And like more of a personal brand, like more
Right.
personally branded.
So we've worked with a lot of people in your vertical. And some of them do want to be like the next, like stack them deep and sell them cheap kind of thing within their regulatory confines of the very restrictive industry.
Which are extensive, as you said.
Right. And then we've done a lot where we had a firm out of DC who very much wanted to, looked at what Fisher Investments was doing and talking about being a fiduciary versus a
Commissioned
certified, CFP or something like that.
I do like Fisher's marketing. My dad uses that a lot when he talks to clients.
It's very smart. It's
Right,
very
'cause
smart.
everyone sees that commercial, so we can just kind of.
I've heard you echo the same thing.
Yeah. So we
go.
we created that messaging, built his website in that vertical. We had another organization where one of the members of their senior leadership team was a CPA, a CFP, RFI, like registered RF
Fiduciary, yeah.
fiduciary,
There's an alphabet soup of them in the
right,
industry.
LMNOP, yeah. But I mean, like, had all of that under one umbrella. So when we would do videos with her, we would anecdotally talk about, not from the sales perspective, but here's uniquely how I've been able to find solutions and fill deltas and be proactively involved for my clients because of these credentials. So it's a matter of storytelling. But you're right. You're not a billboard guy, probably.
I was going to say, help me
No
win
offense,
it.
tweets.
I
Love
was-
your billboards.
I was going to say, help me win this
More
argument.
of a radio
I got
guy.
one coming.
Once and for all.
Is he more of a radio guy? or-
Well, you like us might
No
better.
reason for me to ever have a billboard. True or
It's
false?
not for billboard.
You don't need to be
or for
offering.
radio.
You don't need to be offering
All right.
coupons. You need to be.
No coupons, no
You need to be a
billboards.
resource.
I think you need to be educated.
Thank you. You need to be a trusted resource.
Yeah.
All
You
right,
need to
I
be a
like that.
trusted resource.
So
Hey,
I'm-
I saw this guy. This was interesting to me. Maybe give him a call.
All right, I don't want to hear it, Trey. Thank you. Argument one.
Yes, he should be marketing.
We can move
So
on.
I feel like, is that a draw? I don't know whose team I'm on.
He thinks I should be on a billboard. But, okay. Or a truck.
I got some ideas off air
Or
for you, bro.
rap
You know
like
where
car.
you could be? You could be on GTV. You know what that is? That's the commercials that come up at the gas pump.
There you go.
Commercials.
There you go.
There you go.
Educating in a few
Remember
minutes.
how they used to have like the flyers over urinals?
Captive
Here's
audience,
your
right?
I don't know, do you
financial
remember?
tip as fast as Philip.
You'd be surprised how much.
Right.
Here's your fast as your Philip financial tip. Something like that, right? Just a 5-minute tip.
I love
on-
alliteration. By
There you go.
Philippe.
There you go.
Yeah,
By Philippe.
Philippe's fast Philip tip.
Philippe. Hey.
That's hilarious.
Philippe's fastest Philip financial.
So back to the solopreneurs that are too scared to put their face on video.
Don't give them ideas.
What would you say to one that is just too scared to get in front of camera and put themselves out there on social media specifically?
Then designate a spokesperson. Designate a spokesperson. However, in my experience, more often than not, the person who hesitates the most to be on camera often comes off the most sincere.
Bingo. I think you're right.
It really, you see people who are massively polished. I hate being on camera. I hate being on camera. I hate having my picture taken.
You're too polished.
You get,
Were you?
I don't
so
think
you
that's a
said
compliment.
you said you worked for iHeartRadio. Were you on the radio?
no, I
At
was
all,
on,
was it?
I was on the radio back when I worked for the
You
Royals.
kind of have the voice.
Thank you.
No,
And the
you know what I
face.
mean?
like
You
a-
heard
Is that what
she's
you're
for-
saying? I have a face for
No,
radio.
well,
That's nice.
no, the voice. I would say the
Don't be
voice.
rude, Felipe.
Can I
Here we
paper
go.
cut myself?
She's a sports encyclopedia for sure. Like the sports banter in here was pretty impressive. I don't know as much about
I don't want
sports
to talk
as
about
she does.
tennis though.
I like tennis.
Okay. No, I mean I like tennis. I just don't know anything about it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What are some of the biggest success stories? Because I do think that, to speak to some of the solopreneurs that are afraid to get on camera, or the small businesses that are now global, or, the single man shops that are now running, large businesses, and marketing has everything to do with that. I mean, it's not the only piece, but it is a massive piece. I started the call center not too long ago with the marketing piece very dialed in, and it's made business great to the point where I've said I will never start another business without figuring out the marketing first, right? So speak to some of the success stories that you've seen a business grow from a single man, operation to a global enterprise because of the marketing that Grapevine Communications took.
Maybe not even global, maybe
I was gonna say
countywide.
that's I don't want to speak in hyperbole.
Okay,
but,
world-class
but yeah,
organization.
yeah.
Yes, world class.
No, and I appreciate that perspective. We never want to get over our skis too much when we talk about the services we provide. However, I agree. Marketing is a fundamentally pivotal component of any brand's development and client recruitment, and it's always the first thing to be on the chopping block when you look at line items on a budget.
Because it's expensive.
Compared to what?
Well,
And it's
compared to my payroll, compared to just about anything.
it depends. We have clients that effectively spend $300 a month with us.
Really?
We have clients that spend,
I don't think it's
$150,000 a month with
Shit,
us.
Felipe, I can afford
So-
that.
I don't think it's the.
Look at that jacket, of course he can.
I told you there's some banter.
I don't think
warned
it's the
her.
expense that's the reason is, and I'm going to say this not based on my experience, because obviously I was part of a large company where the marketing was built in for most of my
Sure.
career, but from my business owner clients, business owners have certain mentalities often, and they see something like marketing as expense rather than revenue.
Right.
And I'm sure you've heard that before.
100%.
Whereas
I have to justify my existence constantly.
I would think
Do
somebody
you show CPAs and CPLs and things like that? Like when you're doing ad spend, are you
100%.
giving the client?
Depending on the client, we can even show ROAS, which
Right.
is return on ad spend.
yeah.
So that's like you spent this much on Google. This is how many tickets we sold.
Yeah.
We can demonstrate those metrics.
But someone like Trey, I would think he sees it less as the way that they traditionally do, and more like oxygen, right? Because you get most of your leads
Well,
from marketing.
the
that's
other
your
thing I
oxygen.
want to bring up too is at least in the trades, the way that it works, the unforeseen benefit is now everybody wants to work for me. You know, I have people knocking down the door to come work for me. So not only does it help me recruit clients, it helps me recruit the people to service the clients.
To grow the business.
And it probably helps you avoid retention too, because they want to be a part of that visible trend and brand. And they if you're featuring some of them on social media, they like that. They like that recognition. Everybody loves an attaboy, but that also makes them more susceptible to be recruited by your competitors.
Yep, it's a double-edged sword.
It is.
Yeah,
it is.
So so going back to what's interesting, the trades. What would be a healthy percentage of gross revenue to spend on marketing for a trade like plumber, electrician, roofing?
That is an extremely loaded question because it varies. It does vary, and it's also a matter of your comfort level. If I were to give you a ballpark, it would stand to reason that the majority of our clients are spending somewhere between 1.5% to 6% of their gross, not their net, their gross. We don't affect the net. And we have a lot of clients with whom we dig in and do these. I love math, and with marketing, there's a lot of data points. There's a lot of deficiencies because if we can show that we got 1,412 conversions from our campaign this month, but because of VPN, iPhones, firewall security, we can only show you a spreadsheet that contains 200 of them. Are we lying to you? No. It's so, and additionally, your Google Analytics won't ever match your Google Ad Manager.
Right.
Yeah.
They're just different parts of the building, I guess, but Google doesn't give you the same one-to-one data
This
match.
goes along with an expression that says, 50% of my marketing is working, 50% is not. I just don't know
Which 50% it is?
Yeah. So.
And that 1 to 6 is probably general across any business you guys service, correct?
Anywhere from an automotive operation to a tourism excursion operation to an insurance company to a car wash chain.
What percentage do you guys want to be at? Do you know?
I mean, we're at least 2.5% on just the calls we're generating. That doesn't include any kind of branding or sponsoring or
So the paid calls,
marketing.
essentially.
I would guess that we're probably closer to 10%.
10%, yeah. So what's cooler about the trades is the unforeseen numbers. So say I hired you and you're giving me all these metrics. That doesn't account for when I go out and I service one of those customers that you found for me, that they refer word of mouth.
Absolutely.
You're not
Exactly.
getting credit for that, which
No.
is
Or the
you
doors
know,
you knock in the neighborhood where you have the roof that you got from her.
Yeah,
or
so
the-
if you have
the
marketing,
multiplier.
that does well to get you in the door, a company with great branding. So once we're in the neighborhood, everyone sees us. So I get the neighbors and everything, and you don't get credit for that. So remind
The
them.
business begets business,
Yeah,
right?
correct.
We had a medical distribution company, and we had to fight with them because they weren't seeing, when we started the engagement with, what's the lifetime value of a new customer? And then said, how many of your customers refer? So when I was doing the statistical elements of, the expansion of the impact we had based on the new customers, all they were looking at was linear, how many new customers did we get this month? But how many of them are repeat customers? How many of them have now referred you to other customers? And that's something that's relatively ethereal, and a lot of people don't want to speak in anything that they can't see that's in front of their face at this moment. And we work with a lot of auto dealers, and it is we have to move metal today.
Yeah.
There is no, this person, you sold them a car, but then they brought in their son and their neighbor, and then they're going to buy their next 5 cars. No, it's what did I do these last 5 minutes? And we get that, and we embrace that, and we live in that because we hold ourselves accountable. But there is residual in everything. We're Grapevine. Heard it through the grapevine. Word of mouth is the most powerful thing. You probably heard content is king, right?
Yep.
I don't agree with that. Content is key to building community. Community is king.
I love that.
The people who support you and refer you, that is the king. The content is shareable, it's engaging, it's memorable, it brings them into your community, it makes them part of your, affiliated with your brand, referrers.
I love that you dispelled that cliche, because give me a cliche and I'll give you something I probably don't
Oh,
agree
we
with.
could do that. That's fine.
I got a few cliches for you.
I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do.
That sounds like a success story we just talked about, though. The the whole automotive, the now you got to get it. So
Moving
I want to get back to, I want to hear the success story. I want to hear the one that stands out to you that's like, all right, we started working with this. It was a mess. We cleaned it up. You don't have to give names. You don't have to give details, but
Where the bodies are buried.
I think it helps those that can't quite get their mind around why they should be spending 5% of their gross revenue on marketing.
Yeah, well, there's an HVAC company locally. When we started working with them, and our engagement lasted about, I believe, 8 years, 6.5 years, almost 7 years. And their budget was very small, especially in a very competitive industry. And they were doing this many changeouts and had this many memberships. And through the brand enhancements made in a 2-year period, we had increased their volume by over 300%.
That's what
And you fast forward to 6 years after our original engagement, and they sell to $1 billion private equity firm for an obscene amount of money. Deserved.
I was just talking to somebody about this story yesterday. I will not mention the name, but I know exactly what
Say
you're
the
talking
name.
about. Nah,
We all know the name.
it's not worth
I
it.
appreciate your discretion.
Audience probably knows the name too.
Yeah, but and I don't want to get too specific, but that's a success story. We also have another company that we've been working with for since essentially August of last year, and their job is they have a concept that is not built anywhere, that is not tangible for anyone to see, and they're recruiting investors right now. And in a very short period of time, we helped them. I'm not going to take 100% credit for this, but there are data points that lead to this being a qualitative conclusion. A $6 million cap raise at $100,000 a pop, with one person coming in saying, I want to invest $2.5 million. I'm not inspired by this concept.
Sounds like a very difficult thing to market as well.
Hi, we have nothing tangible to show you, but give us, 6 figures of your money. Yeah.
Or
And
7.
And the client contributed with, they did their own website development. They designed their own creative. We worked with them on strategy. We worked with them on the wording, the communication track. And so it was very much a collaborative effort. We used multiple different channels, multiple different strategies. But, I wish I could raise $6 million in 5 months.
Is that the first time you've done something like that type of raise, or is
We've
that
worked-
normal? Or
It's not
just curious.
normal.
Yeah,
It's not normal.
because raising capital in my industry is very normal, and the people who are really good at it, they take the points. So they're not really they're in a different kind of vertical than you are in terms of.
Well, we've even, with the success of that, we've spun off, okay, let's build a bench of, build our own private equity firm. And so we're targeting ultra high net worth individuals with a kind of a peripheral message. And, that's only just begun, but it's already showing some success. And we're using a tactic, geofencing. So we're going after, think of Billionaires Row in West Palm, and you set a pin and you geofence, just anybody who is within that invisible fence is going to get delivered that ad nauseum.
Right, so every time Steve Cohen picks up his phone, he's gonna
Every time, can't get away from us. Yes,
That's funny.
but no. So the lion's share of our previous experience when it came to cap raises was for capital campaigns for nonprofits, which we've been involved with several of those.
This is a great segue to that. That's cool.
I don't know if it's kind of along the same lines, but we've talked a lot about traditional marketing and traditional business and whatnot. One thing that's big time on my mind right now is, as Felipe mentioned earlier, is a couple years into this business, nobody really knows who Signature Medicare is. We have 70 employees and we're making a splash, but PR is really big for me right now. That's the big push that we're making in 2025. Kind of advice, guidance, recommendation on, PR and how to do it right, because I know there's a way that you can do it wrong by kind of just going shotgun approach, blitz. And
You need a sniper rifle.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I've heard this, it's something that is top of mind for me. So I think the audience would love to hear from it about.
PR success stories. First of all, PR is a gamble. There's no guaranteed return with PR. However, PR can have the highest ROI. So I'm sitting here today because partially we've all engaged in different times in this community, but through the persistence of my director of public relations, my executive vice president of PR, who's sitting in this room. But PR is not just a matter of press releases. You can shop an op-ed. You can look for editorial opportunity. You can look for speaking engagements. This is PR for me right now. You can apply for awards and industry recognition. That's all public relations. Best of SRQ. We should all be a part of that right now.
Best place to work. And
Best place to
insurance
work.
agency.
Best place to work.
Am I running against you?
You're probably after us.
Are you the best coach?
You're in trouble.
Aren't you the best
and
coach?
best business coach consultant. I don't know where that came from, but
Best business leader. We're done here. We're
dang,
done
I
here.
didn't get that one. I got to.
Yeah, but here's the optics are it's an earned thing, but you know it's a voting thing.
That's
You
the
vote
word.
daily.
Earned media, right?
Earned
you can't,
media.
You cannot
Yes.
buy it. Money can't buy it.
And as you're doing PR, ask yourself: does anybody care about what I'm talking about? If the answer is no, don't do it.
Yeah.
Find something that's newsworthy. Find something that's interesting. Find something that's unique.
Save a cat.
We'd save a cat. That would probably the most views we've gotten on social media are like a flamingo sitting down, 8.5 million views in 72 hours. Like, what are we doing here, kids? It's a flamingo sitting down.
I remember you telling that story before.
Yeah. So that public relations wise, and all prepare for disappointment. We've had instances where we've had clients teed up to be in GQ with confirmations and materials and ready to go, and it didn't happen. We've had clients who were interviewed by the New York frickin' Times, and the interview
ran the story.
never published. That's the world of PR. It terrifies me, but it's also the most exciting thing you could ever do. But don't think about it singularly in terms of just a release or a feature story. It could be a lot of
Now,
different.
talk to me about where the world of PR and cause marketing collide, because I feel like that would be, you mentioned earlier, cause marketing may be one of the best tools you can utilize. PR, obviously, on that cause marketing would be huge. So what are some examples of how you can do that?
Well, cause marketing, like if you think, for those of you who had a TV 5 years ago, Susan G. Komen, Yoplait Yogurt used to do the pink lids in October. Their sales would increase by like 400%. So that's cause marketing. That's a revenue boost. St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, Chili's, will do a month or 2 weeks, I think it is, or maybe it's a week now, where they donate their revenue or from their proceeds to St. Jude, and they see their sales explode.
Go up, yeah.
So cause marketing works. Sharing that message, because you do it because it's the right thing to do, right? But it wouldn't hurt to get a pat on the back for it, or a little bit of recognition for doing the right thing. That's good, but it's a lot of people can't cross that barrier of, oh, I didn't do it for that. And we have to like slap them on the butt and say, no, people need to know. You can inspire others, plus also get...
Hey, you won't be able to do it again either if you don't take some recognition for this. Like, this is
Right.
to boost your business so you can do it again.
But the dots you need to connect, which a lot of people don't, is not just, I did this. It's what did this yield? So I worked with this organization and we donated $10,000, or because of, as a sponsor, they raised $1 million. What does that mean? So what's the next step? Okay, here's an organization that has $1 million. That means they can serve 11,000 patients for the year, or they can send...
And better yet, we were able to save little Johnny's left leg.
And a cat from a tree.
There you go.
And a cat from a tree.
And a cat from a tree. So you think about what does that mean? Not just the amount, but what does that produce? What does that yield? What
Yeah, the end result.
Yeah. So as you're doing PR and you're affiliating it with a nonprofit affiliation, which is very smart. So you could talk about, I am proud to announce that I raised this much money. That means it provides this many therapy hours, this many rides to treatments, this, all of those things. You should be proud of that, because that takes something that's, vague and makes it specific and meaningful.
Yeah, no, and ACS is actually really good at enumerating those things, right?
They are.
I particularly like when they talk about that they pay for hotels for
Yep.
people and their family to be at during the treatments, because oftentimes people have to travel long distances to get to the good clinics.
You're right.
So.
And when we began working with them, we brought up, a part of our job is to play devil's advocate too. Like, what are people's objections going to be? And they didn't have a lot of information that was specific to this market. They've since remedied that. They can talk specifically about how many patients, how many research hours, how many research grants they're giving in this community. So you have a national organization, and we can now demonstrate local impact. And that's an important key too.
Especially in this climate. I could go on about nonprofits all day. It's something that's
I'd love
near and
to.
dear to my heart. But,
Yeah.
but you're right. That's a big trend. A lot of times the nonprofits nationally are taking away local control. And, usually that's the first step to taking away the money. which
We
I do
work
not
with
like,
Easter
right?
seals, and
You know?
people think, "Oh, I didn't know
Yeah.
they were local," and we're like,
Yeah.
"For goodness sake, the hundreds, thousands of lives they've affected right here.
Yeah.
Like, open your eye. Like, you just want to shake people. No, let me teach you about this."
Yeah, I mean, there's something to be said for a nonprofit being able to take care of our own, in our
Yes.
community, and that's under attack. I feel like.
What's the number? There's like 5,000 501c3s in the 3-county
Right,
area.
we're the most dense, they say, right?
More than
Or most
yeah.
charitable. I don't know. I don't know what the
Most charitable per
metric is.
capita.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, it's the most philanthropic,
Philanthropic,
but I guess
yeah.
it's probably the same thing,
Yeah.
right?
It's just a fancy word.
Which
to
I
say the
never,
same thing.
which I never knew, but we learned that maybe 3 or 4 episodes ago, which we brought up, I think, every episode since.
But
I
think
mean,
about
it's
think
pretty
about
cool.
it's arguably
Yeah.
the most competitive industry in our community because they're all competing for the same donors, the same grants, the same bonds,
Yeah.
the same everything, and so they
Same
a lot
bequests,
of them, a lot
right?
of yeah, a lot of them have to collaborate.
A man can only have so many causes.
Yeah, yeah. And during COVID, ironically, a lot of that was when a lot of markets saw like a compartmentalization of a lot of their nonprofits in this market. More of them cropped up. So what does that tell you about our community? We stand together and we deliver and we give.
I love it. I love it. Well, I think, before we get into Sarasota kind of stuff, we would be remiss if we didn't ask you because you don't strike me as somebody that doesn't have, your plans into the future already kind of designed. So what does the future hold for Grapevine Communications over the next few years, let's say? Like what's the big goal? Because
Great
now
question.
you're merging with other, competitors that you've helped and, the world is your oyster, right? So what's next?
So easy.
What's
so
next?
easy running a business. This is the 23rd year of the business, and ironically, now we have 23 employees. So we're kind of leaning into that next year, and we're gonna feature individuals on our team and highlight them each month. That's our plan. So really, part of our plan for 2025 is to turn the spotlight on the people who actually produce the work. Like the unsung heroes are going to get the accolades. That's our goal for 2024. When it comes to our growth strategy, the merger was wonderful. Only took us 5 years to do it. Next plan, which may be another 5-year plan, and it may be far fetched, and this may be me being an idealist, but I believe the feasibility is there. I want to create Grapevine franchises or licensing agreements because how many kids are graduating from college with a comms degree or a PR degree or a marketing degree and end up, serving coffee, which can be a very satisfying career. I'm not denigrating.
No, but I
those
get
people
you.
who do that.
There's no place for them to do what they're passionate about,
Right.
Because they're not in a position to start a business, and they're not you, right? Right.
Thank God they're not me. So no, but I think that's something that I've wanted to lean into for a while, and I found a lot of excuses to backburner it for a long time. But the more I say it, the more I manifest it, the more it's likely to happen. I have a good IP attorney. It's I want to create opportunity. I want to build legacy for my kids. I want to. I feel like we have an obligation to permeate the industry with people who have responsible practices and who can quantifiably contribute to their communities through donations, through in kind, through helping organizations that don't have the means get to the next level where they deserve to be. Because they're the ones doing the great work when it comes to nonprofits. They're the ones who, we always say we're not curing cancer today, are we? But we're helping a lot of people who are doing the meaningful work.
What it sounds like also is you're saying you want to keep the industry professional and create a lane for people that have that background to be professionals in
Yes.
the industry.
Yes.
Because I would think the problem with your industry a lot is there's low barriers to entry, meaning anybody with a
Especially
computer.
with the digital marketing.
Yeah,
age,
Yeah.
can say, "Oh, I'm a marketer."
Yeah,
It's like,
and
well,
there's-
you're not.
But
really,
you know what
The
they don't
rookie
have?
stuff
You
we
know what
see
her
is-
unique secret sauce is? She's creative and she's a numbers person. Those two usually don't go together, right? So
gotta be.
You got the
You gotta
business side and she has the creative side, which those other little marketers on their keyboards don't have.
Well, and it's like we have a bad reputation as marketers because it's kind of the Wild West. Like you said, anybody with a computer and who spent a weekend learning Wix can say I'm a web developer, and maybe to a certain extent they are, but how much do they care about the best practices? How much do they care about long-term goals? And how much do they care about doing anything other than saddling you to them for the foreseeable future, because they own your CMS, they own your database, they own your domain, they own your digital footprint.
And then the problem sometimes is those types of operators, they care more about what they make than what you make, right? Meaning they care more about the revenue to them than revenue to their clients.
Darn right.
And that's what you need to weed out.
I love doing an ROI calculator. So when I ask clients those questions, and most people don't know it, so it's kind of a thought-provoking exercise. What's your revenue goal, and what's the lifetime value of new client, or two kind of standard questions. And then so from that, okay, if you're spending this much, we should expect for your gross to increase by this much. I love doing that, and that also gives us kind of a metric to chase. And if you ever, the acronym SMART goals, like a specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. If you're doing that for yourself and you're practicing what you preach, it helps them, kind of adopt the same practices. And it's all about creating a positive influence with, you eat the elephant one bite at a time. If you teach people good habits, GB&O, you guys know.
Another great cliche there. One bite at a time.
Full of them.
What do you got against
I
that?
speak in analogies.
This is not my area of expertise. No, I get
I wish
She
analogies.
does have all the.
I wish I had that gift.
She's got all the
Analogies are
expressions.
different than cliches. All right.
Yeah, sometimes they
can intersect. But
Yeah.
this is my area of expertise, so some of that stuff went over my head, to be honest with you.
Fair enough.
But you were talking about transitioning to Sarasota stuff.
Well, that's Trey's job.
Here we go. Terminator Law and Trey Martell from Strong Roofing want to know: do you love or hate roundabouts, and why?
Oh, I love them. I find them to be more efficient. I firmly believe that that's one thing that Europe has done right. One thing, and no, I there's something just more holistic about them. Do I get wildly frustrated at them frequently? Yeah.
Especially when people don't know how to use them.
Which is too often.
But no more than you get frustrated sitting in traffic at a red light, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Now
Watching the light
Felipe
go
can
3
tell her
times.
why we asked that question. Aside from the fact that we have a ton of roundabouts, right?
Yeah, I mean,
We're about to have more. However, with that, I will add this caveat. Especially as they're adding more of them downtown, they need to do elevated walking bridges.
I've been kind of into that for a long time, and I just don't want to say it because I feel like people will say, "Oh, you're crazy. You spent all this money," but that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
I don't want to cross a big street. Not that we have that many big streets, but
No, but think about all the expansion that's going on
to the Bayfront.
Thank you very much. And the Rosemary. And we don't want for there to be a barrier where like Fruitville Road is
Yeah.
an insurmountable feat.
Good luck getting over there.
Right.
And Fruitville's not even that bad. I mean, go to Tampa and look
Have
at
you ever
some of
walked
those
across
streets.
Fruitville Road?
Every day? Yeah.
You walk across River Road every day.
Pretty much. I live in the Rosemary, so
He does not.
just right now.
He does not.
Okay.
You should get a scooter.
I believe you.
It's safer.
But
Yeah, get an e-bike. What a
but I
great
love
idea.
that. So that's a hot take we haven't heard before. Elevated walkways. You heard it here first, or maybe you didn't.
Yeah. Well,
Right. But really,
I'm a civil engineer in my spare
That's
time.
great. What I wanted to get into also is, what you do is something that's applicable to every business everywhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
But are there things that are specific that you do to the Sarasota market?
that's a good question.
Or is it all the same? Because
We advise our clients, we like to work locally as much as possible because FaceTime is important to us. So even clients we have in West Palm, we like to make the trek over so we can it's all about relationships. Relationships are very important. So when it comes to Sarasota specific, we like to stay on top of the analytics of the market, net migration, what's happening. I serve on the Affordable Housing Task Force for Manatee County Government. I'm on the Bradenton Area EDC board. I'm on the board of the Career Source Suncoast. I'm on the board of the Pines. What else? I do other things. But
those are some good boards. I was on that Suncoast board for a while.
I like that
back in
board.
the day.
I like that board.
And the Pines.
Is that what makes it a good board?
fantastic. No, they do great
Well, they
work.
got rid of him.
Can't do everything,
So with that, we like to have our finger on the pulse of what's happening. And I like to be very intentional with where we serve so we can understand what's happening now and what's to come in the future. And that gives us an advantage to know what's on the horizon, to strategically plan for it, to advise accordingly, and to connect our clients in unique ways. So we like to always find, intersections. We have a client who does, for lack of, to use a common parlance, like screened enclosures, right? And
Yeah,
they
I mean,
want
Lanai's,
to.
everybody's got them, right?
What's it right? What's their unique value proposition? Well, they're not the cheapest. They have the best quality product. They have great customer service. But how do we beat the guy who's racing to the bottom of the price point? So we're working to connect him with other of our clients to incentivize. Hey, we support local. You want the best quality screened enclosure in your backyard because you want to enjoy the outdoors. We're giving a pair of tickets to this, or we're giving gift cards to go to this. And it's a matter of engaging people to support and enjoy and be a part of this community. And so that's exciting for us. We also advise our clients, own your backyard. Yeah, like we want to be the biggest, but what's your market penetration here? Is it easiest to gain market share here and then grow responsibly and in a measured fashion? And because not everything's, we know enough to know what we don't know, and we know that the market's changing all the time, and we understand that we never want to test things with your money, but we understand that we're going to have to start something, monitor it daily, make adjustments to it, learn, and move on from there. And then
Test.
Not test. Yeah.
No, I want to test Google ads for 30 days. Okay, well then don't.
All right, then use your money.
Right. Well, and that's the
Show
thing.
me that it works, and then I'm in.
Any marketing, anything. I mean, if you're giving away free Rolexes, yes, we can do Google ads for 90 days. Other than that, you're not doing yourself any favor. I mean, you can start small, build proof of concept, and expand from there. We're not going to walk in and tell you need to spend $150,000 a month with us today. In fact, we spend most of our time telling clients slow down. We don't want that money right now. Let's get all the machine learning in on this phase. Let's make sure we've nailed your voice. Let's make sure our lookalike audiences are materializing the way we hoped. And let's have critical conversations along the way, and then grow responsibly.
Yeah.
Well, there's really a whole science to this.
There is.
And from what I gather from what you're saying, that's universally applicable depending on if it's Sarasota, Naples, or wherever.
Absolutely.
It also
That
just
science
downright
is-
doesn't work to make $150,000 splash on ads. Like, you just can't do it. It
No.
doesn't. I mean, you would love to,
Right.
Right, but that's not the way that it works anymore.
But going back to what you just said, and this reminded me. So having worked with a lot of different agencies nationally, internationally, you'll have people. I had a Anheuser-Busch. This was years and years ago when I was in radio. Mediacom, the number one advertising agency on Fifth Avenue in New York, called and said, we need to cancel all advertising in Sarasota because we're going to put it all into flyovers of the beaches of Orlando. And I'm like, honey,
Beaches of Orlando.
get a map. Yes. And so after a 5-minute phone call, she apologized, probably a little embarrassed, and we kept the budget. But so that's that disassociation.
Did they not know Sarasota has beaches, or
No, they didn't know Orlando
Orlando
didn't.
doesn't have beaches.
okay, but fair, okay, that makes sense.
They didn't know.
I was assuming Daytona,
No.
They looked at a spreadsheet.
Greater
and said,
Orlando.
Look at
our
all this-
market's in Orlando. Our growth is in Orlando. Oh, it's Florida, the beach. Put it on the beaches of Orlando.
Yep.
Nobody was from Orlando.
That one went right over my head.
You
At
can
least
work
you're
in
man
Mediacom.
enough-
Really
You're
did.
man enough to admit
Yeah,
that.
but it's you can't.
Sometimes the things go over my head too.
I
to
was
be
thinking
honest.
Daytona Beach or something.
But the
Coco.
number of times we've received a request from or a spot that came down from, Amazon Web Services or Chase Bank or Verizon Wireless, where they're like, Tampa Bay, listen up. And I'm like, calm down, kids. You don't put Tampa Bay in a Sarasota or Manatee County ad. Like you don't. And if you're rolling an ad that's
Although we
geo-specific to
hear it all the
Sarasota, you
time.
don't say, hey, Bradenton. You have to know the market. You have to be boots on the ground. And anywhere we go, if we're marketing someone in Jacksonville and we're talking about Jacksonville, we don't say, hey, Jacksonville customers. We say, hey, Sawgrass. You have to be intentional, specific, and informed.
That's fascinating. I love that. They say you can actually define the areas of the country based on the advertisements. Right? You've heard this before, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Particularly with the car dealerships. If they're saying New England Ford, you're in New England.
Right.
But then you go far enough south, they're going to start saying tri-state or Connecticut or whatever.
That's tier 2 penetration. So you have excuse me.
Going
With,
into
okay.
tier 2.
So hang on. I'm going to clean this up. Hang on. So with automotive, tier 1 is like Ford. Tier 2 is Southeast Ford dealers. Tier 1 is like Sarasota Ford, Matthews Curry Ford, Brandon Ford, all of that.
Okay.
So you'll a lot of times they rely on, and a lot of big brands, national brands, deal with what would be tier 2 parlance. So like a regional buying group. So Tampa is a top 10 media market, not a top 10 population market, but a top 10 media market. And so advertisers who are out of touch or out of market are buying Tampa and relying on Spill. So relying on the benefit for people in our community, those world-class businesses who own franchises down here, they're relying on their regional media buying to be Spill, which is by definition an accident, out of Tampa, and not doing intentional marketing to grow your audience and your customer base here.
I can probably count on one or two hands how many times we've been this quiet as hosts, and it's not a bad thing. It's just she's a wealth of information and knowledge. It's not that you talk
She
a lot.
got a big mouth.
It's not that you talk a lot or have a big mouth. It's
Like,
that the
I know.
stuff you say
Self-aware.
keeps us quiet because we're listening for real. And I believe the audience will feel that as
Yeah,
well.
she's a real factory today. I mean, all these could be
for
reels.
sure. We'll clip
That
this one
afternoon
up.
coffee, I'm ready to go.
We'll clip this one up. Should we wrap it up with
Hit him, Felipe.
your famous question
sorry.
here?
I'm being-
Because
I'm
I
being-
feel like this will be good too.
I'm being tasked. So, we always end the podcast on the same question. And, you've been on Sarasota Speaks. You see what we do here. Thank you for being here, by the way. I know I enjoyed it, and I think these knuckleheads did too.
Oh, we got to be knuckleheads.
Well,
I'm in financial services.
I'm a knucklehead as well.
Mr. Roger.
We're all knuckleheads. But, she's really schooled us today on the marketing. So
Absolutely.
I appreciate that. So you see what we do here. You see, I think you know why we do it since you're in this space. Who do you know who we may not know, who Sarasota needs to know? Who should we invite on Sarasota Speaks?
That's a really great question, and I can think of a few of them.
Probably clients that need PR.
Well, and they're not all clients. So, if
Well,
you
we don't
have-
want to make it too easy for you, so give us something
Oh, no.
outside of the box.
If you haven't, number one, if you haven't met Robert Milligan at Preferred Shore, he is probably the most interesting human being I've ever met, and a truly brilliant and calculating guy with an interesting story to reach a pinnacle of success in your 20s, lose everything and build back up is just, from any entrepreneur's perspective, he'll give you an unvarnished, straight, skinny understanding of his experience, and it kind of helps you pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Now, someone who would be completely outside of your comfort zone is a gal named LaDotta Taylor. LaDotta Taylor.
We don't have a comfort zone. Who are you kidding?
Oh, good.
I'm uncomfortable most of the time, so I don't have a comfort zone.
She would be the flip side of the coin for me. She is elegant. She is sophisticated. She is. I learn something from her every time I talk to her. Her company is Elevation, L-Avation, and she does like a lot of corporate coaching. So she deals with. She's the one who teaches people like us. But I spend 5 minutes with her, and I still wake up every morning affirming myself that I'm going to have a growth mindset and I'm going to show grit today. And so it's like she's that.
I feel like I would sit up straighter.
The $1 million morning.
Oh yeah, you'd shave that day.
Was
like
Michael
yeah.
Clobber for me. One of the ones like already just going to sit up a little straighter. And
Michael does. He
did that to me, for sure.
He elevates standards in the room. doesn't he?
He's put together, definitely
Yeah.
impressive.
Sharp.
guy.
There's David Hounahan from who Donald at Tweeds has done a collaboration with. He's the president of Lee Weatherington Homes. He's literally had every job.
we've
on
gotten
the
that one
planet.
a couple times now.
Literally have you've spoken with David?
No, we haven't had him on.
I
We've
know
gotten
Lee.
a
I've been
recommendation
trying. He
from
says
him.
yes 5 times, and then doesn't happen.
Yeah, Lee.
Well, we'll just
Well,
send
he
him that.
travels so
We'll
much.
just send him that. You called him
And
out
then
on the podcast.
there's a guy, Bill Kinney, who I don't even know who would do it. He's kind of shies away from media, but he is the most interesting human being I've ever met. He owns Paragon Festivals, so everything from stuff that happens up to the Hamptons down to Naples. He's got 2 festivals in the USA Today top 10.
Give me an example of one of the festivals. What do you remember the names?
Oh, of course I do.
I'm just curious.
Yeah, that's fine. Lakewood Ranch Festival of the Arts, Sarasota Seafood and Music Festival, St. Pete Seafood and Music Festival, Inglewood Seafood and Music Festival, Naples Seafood and Music Festival, the Sarasota Holiday of the Arts. So arts and music festivals in the community, and he's a former artist. Your podcast would have to be 6 hours long.
One of our areas of expertise, I feel like, is getting people on the podcast that wouldn't normally do media or would shy away from media. So that one, I think, we'll take on as a challenge.
Oh yeah, no, he's got a point, and that's one of the reasons we do this, because who wants to see the same people that are putting themselves in the camera every 2 minutes? We want to see the people that are.
Sorry, guys, I'm old news.
No, you're great. No, you're great. This has been entertaining, but also very, very informative. So we appreciate you coming on. It's been a blast. I think the audience is going to love this and learn some things too. But they may look for you and how to find you. So best way to get a hold of Grapevine.
Best way to get a hold of Grapevine is, if you don't follow us on social media, go to our website. It's grapeinc.com, because Grapevine Communications is too many letters. So grapeinc.com, and that I invite you. The first thing you do, go to our teams page. You'll see a bio for every person on our team. You'll get to know what our zone of genius is, and then our core competencies are listed on there. All of the tactics that we offer, and Wow Me at Grape Inc. is a direct line of communication to me.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for coming on. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks, guys.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You crushed it.